to the students, sometimes I heard a lot of students that you have to be good at every, programming language. I think I totally disagree with that.
So today we have Hamza Baloch with us, who's a full stack developer and he's part of General Motors. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ali Masood, founder of Zatrix. Today we have a guest who had a very amazing kind of a career, or I would say amazing, but you can say rock and roll kind of a career. So when he started, I was teaching back in 2014. So it's like 12 year back when I was teaching. He was one of my student. At that time, when I was teaching them, so I realized that this guy was not into programming. And when I used to go to him, I tried to explain things. So he was not as a teacher, you kind of understand when you see someone that whether he's picking it or not picking it. So I used to get zero response or neutral response. But recently, I've been talking with him, and I was, mashallah, very much amazed that the achievement that he has done. Alhamdulillah. So he went from being not a very brilliant student, but then he went to US in Texas, and he is working as a full stack developer in General Motors. So today we want to learn his journey, how as a student, when you don't know programming language or you don't understand programming language, how you can overcome that thing in your career, and how you can shift your career, or you can say how you can transform yourself so that you can be hired in the US market.
Okay.
So uh, so let's start with the discussion today. So I remember, Hamza, you early on in your career, I remember you were not very interested in programming. So what did change in you that you opt from programming, non-programming area towards programming? So what was the change for you?
So basically, when I was in university, the programming was just another subject for me to pass and to get the grades.
Hmm.
But after my graduation, when I started working on the real applications,
Hmm.
so and when I started learning the code and like deeply.
Hmm.
So there it made me curious. The programming is not actually just about the syntax. It's
Hmm.
about solving the real world problems, and especially when you get a real time feedback from the clients, and when the millions of users use your application. So and you get a real time feedback. So that kind of made me more curious about the programming.
It gives a kick
And
when your program becomes published in the entire world, and a lot of people comment on it. That becomes a real motivation factor. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that was one of the main motivation. And also one of the main motivation for me was when I started looking at the big tech companies,
Mm,
the millionaires in the world. They
mm,
are somehow, connected with the tech industry. So I
correct.
thought, this is one of the main reason, I should start my career in this as well. And also, when you solve a real world application, then when I started my first internship actually, so
Mm,
every day I was learning something new from the,
mm,
like, when you start your career within the one to like up to every day is a learning day. But in the beginning of your career, you every day you learn a new skill, I would say, or new technology, or a
mm,
new thing.
mhm.
So that's how it made me more curious, and I started working in the tech.
So, if I recall back your journey, so for example, if a student is at the same situation that you were in, I remember when I was teaching you programming, I remember one thing. I mean, it's long while back, like 11 years back. I was, I guess, teaching you web engineering, and there was something in the lab that I was trying to do, and uh, you were not willing to do it. I remember that only one session. So as a student who may be studying say web engineering or C++ programming, what he has to do, now the realm has changed from the realm that you were being taught to do, because in 2014 there was no chat gpt, no claude, no such thing. Now since there are claude and there are other things there, so syntax, as you said, I agree with you, syntax is not the main thing. The main thing is basically how you create all the things together into a form that would solve a problem, right? So what kind of guidance you would give to a student who's currently studying in and having the same situation that you were in when you were a student?
Yeah. So basically, what I would suggest to the students, sometimes I heard a lot of students that you have to be good at every, programming language. I think I totally disagree with that. So you just have to be strong in the basics. You
Mm,
have to be strong in the fundamentals, and you have to be strong in the design patterns. And the second thing I would say, like if you are slow and if you don't understand the coding at start, it's totally okay,
mm,
because the first semester or the second semester is not going to define your entire career.
mm,
So it's okay if your learning curve is slow, if your pace is slow. The only thing is, I would say, consistency. So you have to be consistent, and also stop comparing yourself with others, because because I think the things I faced in the university, we start comparing with, with our university mates. And I still remember there was some brilliant students, and I started
mm,
comparing myself with them. Like, he can get a good grades, why can't I?
mm,
So I think you don't need to compare yourself. And I think the other main thing is you have to listen to your teachers, and you have to keep asking, I would
mm.
say. You have to keep asking questions if you find any difficulty. But yeah, I think the consistency is the key, and
Yes.
you have to be hungry for,
Mm.
for the learning.
So I totally agree with the point that you are saying, that obviously you need to be hungry for the technology and to grasp and to ask. The thing is, what I see these days I've been seeing this phenomena being happening a lot. Every student these days is working on cloud code. So for example, let me give you an idea. Recently uh, I had an opening in Zetrix, so I was conducting some interviews with with the graduates. Now when I used to ask them, okay, you did your FIP, so what problems did you solve in your FIP? He said, okay, that's very simple. I went to Claude, I told Claude this is the problem, then Claude solved it. Then I said, okay, when the code crashed, what did you do? He said, I copied the log, copied it on Claude, and that's it. So when I was asking about the architecture decision, these kind of decision, he didn't know a single thing, or he even didn't know about a single line that he has wrote in the code. Since you are working in General Motor in US, in Texas, so what is your take? Does this thing work in US, or does this doesn't work at all? If you don't know the architecture, you're just using the Claude code, prompting it. So will it work for the future or no?
I have a different opinion. I think the cloud or the AI is everywhere now, but
Yes.
I think it can help you to automate your processes. It can help you to, uh, to solve the repetitive task, and basically to speed up your work.
Hmm.
But when it comes to the critical applications, when it comes to the large enterprises application, where security is matters, where, the design matters, where, you know because most of the US companies, they are very, serious, or they are very, I would say, sensitive about the
Paranoid
security.
about security.
Yeah, yeah, security. So I think even when you are generating a code from the cloud, and even you don't know, what actually the cloud is doing.
Hmm.
So I think here is the problem. You need to know what it has generated, whether the code, the cloud, or the cursor, whatever the AI tool you are using, it generated in a right way. It doesn't breach the security. It would not impact the performance when the millions of users are going to use this application. So if you're not sure about those things, so I think that's going to make a really big problem. And I think the final approval, if you generate the code, the final approval, when it would go to the your seniors, or when it will go to the productions, the AI is not responsible for that. The final
Hmm.
approval should be from the human. You are responsible for it.
Yes. So
So I think,
that makes sense. So what you're saying is, okay, use cursor, but understand it before you using it. And this is a phenomena which I've been seeing, because the point is, these days the technology has changed so much that the teaching should also change. Because at our time, I remember it still people were cheating, right? We know that.
yeah,
So we used to conduct interviews or conduct demos with them and to understand what they have done. Now, since the point is, what I see in the university, the people coming out from there, they are purely using cursor, purely using for every assignment, for every project, even their FIP. So it would become very very difficult, like you said, in not even in US. US is also paranoid. European market is also very paranoid about security and privacy, these kind of things. And also you can say GCC, everywhere in the world, this privacy, if you don't know the code and you implemented something, and at the end of the day, if it crashed, or if there is a security breach, that is going to have a more impact on you. So
exactly.
yeah, so this is one thing. In terms of US, what do you think? So if a student who wants to say from any country wants to go to the US, what transition he has to do while doing that? I mean,
I would
yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah, I would say the first thing is your skills. You have to be very good at the skills, and you know what are you doing, okay? And the other main thing, I have realized, I think before coming to the US and after coming into the US, the networking. I would say
Hmm.
networking is really important. These days, people, they really don't care about the networking. They say that, okay, once the job is listed, I would just apply it, and they would
Yes.
hire me, or I would get the interviews. The market is really saturated right now. I
Hmm.
think networking is the key. You have to prove yourself. You have to attend the seminars. Even these days, there are the paid seminars. I would suggest a student just go for it.
Hmm.
Make your networking strong. I think networking is the key in this era right now. So
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
like the main thing I would suggest to the beginners.
Yes.
Uh,
I think so. What I would add over here, what there is a saying called, your network is your net worth. So
exactly.
basically this is a general phenomena. Generally, when a student is because when you are in university, you are between the age of, say, 18 to 21. At that time, you are in teenage, your goals are different. So
Yeah.
that is a thing that I think so university must teach in somehow, because at that is the time where your networking should start happening. Because the student, they think that you don't need to do network, you just need to, like you said, you just need to apply. This is not going to happen, because somehow somewhere this is human psyche, that they look for someone who they can trust to while hiring someone. And this is generally a phenomena. Although no matter what, there would be, you can say, no matter what company does, even they make it transparent, even then you can say 30-40% of their hiring would be from the references. So you cannot avoid that. Yes. So I agree with you. And for the transitioning part, what you were saying, like for that you need to do networking and the skill. So what kind of skills that you think are important for a student who's currently studying, say, in any university in the world, and he want to pursue full stack development in anywhere in the US? So what kind of skills he should be looking at, and how he can improve the skills?
I think technology is growing very rapidly, and if I say that you should learn a certain technology, no. I think
Hmm.
you should focus on the, as I earlier said, you should focus on the fundamentals, you should focus on the basics. Then adopting to every technology would be easy for you.
Hmm.
So I think the key is you should focus on the basics. If your basics are strong and you have a portfolio, I would say, if your portfolio is strong, you have built the projects, basically you know how to sell you. So
Hmm.
that's the one thing. And
You mean
yeah, I
the
think
first thing, from what I understand, the first thing is problem solving, that you're saying that
exactly.
that is the core fundamental, or architecture or solution architecture development. That is number one, which you are saying. And the second thing is portfolio. Yes, I agree. And in the portfolio, and and right now I agree with you that now the syntax or technology doesn't really matter. If you want to develop in Python, React, I mean,
Yeah.
Laravel, it doesn't really matter. As long as you know the architecture, you know the whole underlying principle behind it, I think so that would make sense. And how to, now coming to this point, let's say the skill is created. Now, how he can approach in the US company? Because when I talk with a lot of people, they say from the youngster, they say when they apply to the US, they don't get any response. So how do they apply? What is the best medium, in your opinion, to apply? Or is there any reference thing that we need to have in the US to get a job or to land a job?
Yeah, I think the first thing I already said, the networking is important, and the other thing is there are companies which are looking for the H-1B professionals,
Hmm.
and yeah, so even when the company hires from the outside of the US, they need to justify that why they are hiring from outside of US. So
Hmm.
so there, the skills are really important. You have to be
Hmm.
good at what are you doing.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. The other thing is there are a lot of companies, there are a lot of staffing companies, which hires the professionals from the Pakistan, India, and like all over the world. So these are the companies, and when you start building your networking, you can join the WhatsApp groups. So there are the US WhatsApp groups, there are like the Facebook groups. You have to just do some research, like you have to search the companies
Hmm.
which offer the H1B,
Hmm.
and which offer the which hire the foreign talents. So you have to do some research work, you have to work on it, and also what exactly is the company looking for.
Hmm.
So you have to adopt those technologies, or you have to work on that. You have to basically do some homework if you are targeting a specific company.
Yes, so you are
So
saying customize kind of a CV, and connecting with the recruitment agencies, and they are available on LinkedIn as well as
yeah.
Facebook. Yes, I agree. And do you think that applying via LinkedIn would help to, or do always they need a recruiter or someone who needs to forward everything?
It really depends, because some companies they directly hire from the LinkedIn.
Hmm.
They just approach you over the LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and some of the recruiters, you have to reach out to them if they have an open position. So it really depends. It varies from company to company. So what I would suggest is you don't have to choose. You have to target both.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So, since you are in US, what do you see in terms of AI? Because these days AI is, people are saying in Pakistan, in everywhere in the world, that AI is going to replace humans. So, what is your take on it?
As I earlier said, I don't think so. Right now, AI would replace your jobs. I think it's just a roadmap.
Hmm.
So you have to follow that roadmap, and it helps you to automate your processes. It helps you in code stitching. It helps you in, to automate your processes. Suppose earlier when I was working, when I started my career, if any any task is assigned to me, it took me around like 1 week or 2 week.
Hmm.
So that's where the AI stepped in. The 2 week work I can do it literally like in 1 day or 2 day. So
Yes.
that's how AI would help you, but the final decision would still be yours.
Yes. And
So
obviously in Cursor or even Claude Code, when you do the development, and when you put it into the production, a lot of things doesn't work. So
yeah,
you need to reprompt and re-add some context into that system, and then you can solve these errors. So it cannot be done without a human being in the loop. And obviously there are so many problems. I don't know whether you have tackled some. I can tell many problems that many clients approached us, and these problems are not cannot be solved via Cloud Code. Or so for these, you need a person who has that brain in them, that could do the critical thinking. Because not every problem,
exactly,
for CRUD operation, okay, I can say uh, Cursor, Claude are very good. Front end, okay, very good, generally speaking. But if you're going into training a AI model, training certain specific AI model, not chat GPT wrappers. So as long as you're doing that, maybe it will help you, but not that much. Maybe you can say 30% or maybe 40% help would be taken from there. Remaining help is your brain. So I agree
exactly.
on that aspect. So you must be seeing a lot of AI wave in the US, since there are many students who are as of now, what I see over here as well, and everywhere in the world, there is a wave going on. Everybody is trying to do BSAI or these kind of things. So now I want to know, in Texas, say, what is the AI or agentic AI scope, and how the enterprises are using AI in their system, and how we can help as a student, what we can do to be part of them. Yeah.
Okay, I think nowadays AI is everywhere, and as you said, AI is uh, like in every company, I would say.
Hmm.
So I would say every company is going towards AI. They want the architects, they want the solutions architects from the AI, which
Hmm.
would help them, to automate their processes. So
Hmm.
suppose if you see, if you want to target any company, you have a company in the Pakistan and you want to target any company, you have to go through their processes, exactly like what this company is doing,
Hmm.
and you can pitch them. Okay, so this is your website, or this is your domain. What value I can add to this, your company is, I can automate your this process, I can
Hmm.
automate, I can add AI to this, I can make you chatbots, I can make you like a lot of AI things. So I think that's the one thing
Hmm.
our engineers or our students should focus on.
Yes.
Or yeah, that.
I think so. I agree with you. The one thing that for the enterprise, I think so. I would add more things in that aspect. One, AI, yes, as a student, you can do certain things on AI, solve a problem. That's the more important thing. The real problem, what people are these days doing, what I see when because we have been working for clients who are enterprise, so we know uh, enterprise doesn't want a chat GPT wrapper. Many people come to me, they say, I go to this workshop, this conference, and there I saw a lot of startup. 90% of these startup are chat GPT wrappers, which could be done via chat GPT. Chat GPT wrapper, I don't think so. If you're doing your FIP, if you're doing anything other than or something unique, or you're building your portfolio, if you're building a chat GPT wrapper, that's not going to work out. Because when you go into the enterprise, everybody would say this is just a chat GPT wrapper. So this is
Exactly.
not going to, I mean, chat GPT can easily do it. So it doesn't really make sense, and it is not scalable. For, I think so, enterprise grade thing or anything, even not enterprise, I think so, I would suggest that you pick a problem, a real problem in the world. And there are, I would say, with AI, there are million more problems being added into the the whole set of problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are millions other problems that you can solve, and just pick those problems. And as a student, I would say the first thing that you need to do is to pick those problems and solve these problems one by. If you can solve that problem, whatever architecture you build upon that, that would make sense, that would be sellable,
Exactly.
and you can sell this thing to someone who would admire it. Now, this is the main crux. Now what I see, a lot of people, what they are doing is everything is on chat gpt. Even the companies, on the company, not even student, I would say, the companies these days are also doing what, everything, every solution is on llm. So if you
LLM,
are,
yeah,
yeah, and it doesn't really make sense. So for an ai person, you need to understand the whole logic behind all these neural network, deep learning, how they
mm,
works and how you can mold them. So if you don't know that, then I don't think so it's going to work out in any time. So that is
exactly.
what I understood from your side as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think adding to that, I would say where AI is taking opportunity, it's also creating opportunities.
Hmm.
So I would say you have to focus on that, that what things I can make with the help of AI.
Hmm.
So I think you need to focus, you need to see which opportunities I can create using an AI.
Hmm.
So that's the one thing, and that's the most of the companies are looking for what values you can add using the AI, because everyone is talking about the AI, but it really depends what value you can add.
Yes. Yes, and that is where I when I remember when I used to teach, I used to say that there are I don't know whether I said this to you or no, but there are millions of sheep in the world. You want to look different. So if you want to
Exactly.
look different, you need to do something different, right? So that
Yeah,
is where, because these days social media is very much, you can say, is accessible to everyone. So now you are competing with billion people. Like for example, if you are applying to US, so like for example, when we open any job opening over here as well, we receive 500 plus applications. So imagine that how many application they would receive if they open up. So because everybody is trying to go to the US. So now if 500 applications are going there, it becomes very very difficult for a person to do the scrutiny. Now I need to someone or the student need to understand certain things. Your CV must match the job description. If you're only these days with chat gpt and these new ai code, if you have one cv for every job, that is not, I don't think so, that is not going to work. If you are making it specialized for that particular thing, because I know we have built certain cv parser kind of application. So I know that at the end of the day, if you are getting 1,000 applications, no human is going to review it. It's going to
exactly.
be reviewed by a AI, and that AI is looking for certain keywords. So in my opinion, when you have to create a CV and when you are applying for a job, although it will take 5 more minutes of your time, but if you can mold it regarding your job description, the job description written there, then it would make more sense, and there is a high chance you would get a call. Otherwise it's just like you are just applying, because I know this phenomena. It is extremely difficult to study or scrutinize all the 1,000 application, which is impossible thing to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I would add that yeah, suppose if you are making a CV and you are adding a skills, sometimes you add the irrelevant skills, you apply even to those jobs you're not sure about.
Hmm.
But I think whatever the skills you are adding, because at the end of the day you have to justify it. So you
Hmm.
have to kind of make sure, whatever you are adding or whatever the job you are applying for, you are going to justify it.
Yes. Yes. So I think so. One last question from your end. What is I mean, I would say, what recommendation you would give to the students, that what they need to do, and if we conclude this in a way, that what is your conclusion if, for example, a student who's studying in, say, for example, second or fourth semester, what should he do, and what are the key, you can say, steps, if you can put it down in a form of steps, what step he should follow and how he can do that to achieve a good career, maybe in the US or maybe in the Europe or anywhere in the world, with a good career and with the expectation that his career would have more, you can say, uh, more
Yeah.
is a more promising. Yes.
Yeah, I would say that like when I started my career, the things were really different. Now is the AI era. So I would say, but still, you have to focus. The first step, I would say, if you are slow, it doesn't matter. If your learning curve is slow, it doesn't matter. But be consistent
Hmm.
and focus on the fundamentals, focus on the how the algorithms actually work, how the large applications, even if you take example of the Facebook, how the Facebook is built, how they are handling the millions of users of data. So think like that, think out of the box. So that would eventually help you, to think and to grow. That's the one thing. And the second thing I already mentioned, start networking as soon as you can,
Hmm.
because people don't take it very seriously, but I would say that's really a thing every student should consider. So start networking, focus on the basics, and focus on the fundamentals, and don't afraid to ask the questions. Like I remember when I started my career, so I had some mentors. Like luckily I had some good mentors, I had some good managers. So I keep asking questions because it would eventually help me.
Hmm.
I think in that way, like if I ask a question, sometimes the managers or the seniors or the teachers mind that he's asking too many questions. I would say just ignore that and keep asking
Hmm.
questions.
Yes.
So that's the one thing. And yeah, just be consistent, make projects, debug projects, make your portfolios. Because if you work on a real applications, so you have to, if you are applying in a big tech companies, you have to show your work. So also in this AI era, everyone can generate code. Even if a person who is not from the tech background, he can make an application within an
Hmm.
hour. So the difference between a layman and the software engineer is you know what you are doing. The
Yes.
code AI has generated, you know what it has generated. So just think like that, how the real applications are working, how they are managing the security, and just be consistent and start making more and more projects.
Yes, I totally agree, and I think so. This sums up our session. Thank you for your time, Hamza. It was a great session. I think so. If, for example, if the community wants the second perspective, which I think so, this is very important that we took out from this, how to do networking, because this is an area in itself. I didn't go deep into that because of the thing, because networking is another domain in itself, and it takes a lot of time to understand how we can do that. So maybe if the community needs that, we can have another session on the networking part of it. It was
Sure.
wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was
And
nice meeting you after a
thank
very long time.
thank you.